Welcome, Mr. Derek Brazil. Thank you, Derek, very much for giving us some time today. I'm sorry for apparently there's some slight technical issues going on there, which I can only, apologize for greatly at length, but I won't. But thank you anyway. But sorry, and sorry to keep you hanging around. Really nice to talk to you.
I'm not going anywhere, Steve. So
well done.
fine.
Thank you. I'm trying to do some.
If you notice, there's no bookshelves behind me either.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't use those too much either. But I've got something else for you. Let me just try and show you something now, which you'll quite like, which will be a good start to this. Let me just take you back to a time in your life when things all look so different. You know. Let's try this one. There he is. Look, hang on.
Oh,
there's Derek Brazil there, looking behind me. You can't see him very well, but he is there. There's Derek, and as a young man, just joining Manchester United, who are apparently quite a good club by all accounts. Yeah.
Yeah, very good club.
But looking back to those days, Derek, can you remember? Talk me through the early days of when you first got into sort of, you had your big break. It must have been absolutely your dream, I guess, to play for Man United, and in your case, your dreams came true. So tell me about those early days, and you sort of were you successful as a kind of a youngster at school? Were you playing for the Irish youth team? How did it work for you?
Well, I started really getting involved in competitive sport at the age of 10, which is quite late, really.
Okay.
But I was playing Gaelic football, which is very popular back in Ireland.
Yeah.
And I played that for about 3 years. And my dad had been a massive football supporter for years. He went to Blackburn as a 17, 18-year-old for a month's trial. They wanted to sign him, but he came back because he missed me ma.
Huh.
He missed it so much that I was born. So it was something that he was really keen for me to do, to play football. So I signed for a team called Belvedere at the age of 14 as a centre forward, and believe it or not, I scored 29 goals that season.
Whoa!
I know.
Wow.
I know.
What position were you playing? You were obviously the out-and-out striker, were you?
Centre forward. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But I wasn't happy. I didn't feel comfortable with my back to their goal type of thing. I prefer, when I played Gaelic football, I played as a defender, so I could see the whole pitch.
Yeah.
And I could make more decisions, and I was pretty good at it. And decided I wanted to leave Belvedere after that first season, and I went to my local club because I wanted to play centre half.
Okay. Even though you scored 29 goals the previous season.
Yeah. But it's funny enough, our first game against Belvedere in the league for my team at the time was Rivermount Boys.
Yeah.
And I played centre half and scored a hat trick.
Did you?
Against my old team, yeah.
Wow, going up for the corners, was it?
No. One was a free kick, one was a header, and I can't remember the other one, to be honest.
We did well to remember two of them.
Yeah. So, that was under 15. I got picked for under 15 Ireland schoolboys, and then went to West Ham for a month's trial. They said, go back and get a job. You're not good enough. That was in the December, and that was when Paul Ince was there. I was in the same youth team as him. And then within 3 months, I played for Ireland under 18s, sorry. And, Tottenham, Chelsea, Man City and Man United wanted me to sign. They didn't want me to go on trial. They want me to sign. So,
and how old were you then again? Sorry,
17.
And so, was you? I know you're very close to your dad. So, was your dad involved in sort of helping you to make this decision?
Not so much. I'd been to Chelsea for a week, and they said they wanted to sign me. I was going to sign for Chelsea. I kind of was. I was happy with it. But then Tottenham, Man City, and Man United said, "Look, we want you to sign. Before you decide to sign for Chelsea, come and see us. Spend a weekend at each place." So we spent a weekend at Tottenham, weekend at Man City, and a weekend at Man United. Which was great because they looked after me, my and dad, put them up in a hotel.
Yeah.
My dad was buying everybody drinks. He must have spent about $1,000 on the bar bill for people in each one. So he took full advantage. But he's always been a Man United supporter, so I think he was probably leaning more towards that. And Man United were the last club where I actually went to. So yeah, it was, you know, and it's weird. I teach kids football now, and you know, I didn't really start playing properly till I was, you know, under 14s, and within 3 years I'd signed for Manchester United, which it shows you need a lot of luck, you need to be disciplined, and you need to be in the right place at the right time.
Was it Dublin? Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, Dublin, Finglas.
Yeah. So in a sort of across all of Ireland, really, you know, I've always got the impression that the clubs from the kind of northwest, I suppose, in the UK, you know, particularly Liverpool and Man United, they're the big two clubs that people tend to follow as youngsters. Is that right? When you were in school, was that the case?
Yeah, it was Man United, Liverpool, or Arsenal.
Okay. Because Arsenal were doing well then, I suppose.
Well, I liked Arsenal when I was a young kid.
Lots of Irish players then as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they had the likes of Lee Brady, Stapleton, Dave O'Leary, you know, so and they were the big names
Pat
in
Jennings.
But Pat Jennings was Northern Ireland. So
Northern Ireland. Sorry to insult you.
So, you know, I liked them because of that. And but when I went to Man United, I got to to meet the likes of the day I went there. You know, the likes of Paul McGrath and Norman Whiteside and Frank Stapleton. Wow. You know, I mean, Frank Stapleton, I marked him in a game that day. Ron Atkinson asked me to play in a game that day. And Frank Stapleton was on my wall as an Arsenal supporter. I had pictures of him purely because of the Irish Arsenal link. And funny, you know, recently, I would say about 6 months ago, I played a few times with Frank now, and I've roomed with him. Yeah. And I had a conversation with him once, and this was must have been about 6-7 years ago. And we had a game in the night, and I was rooming with Frank. So I was in with Frank, and I was sat there, and I said, Frank, you know what's weird? Because we're having a little sleep in the afternoon, so we're in single bed sleeping. I said, you know what's weird, Frank? He says, what? I said, I had pictures of you growing up on my wall in your Arsenal kit and in your Ireland kit. I said, how mad it is all these years ago, I'm in the same room as you. I need to phone me dad, because I think this is funny. So I phoned me dad, and Frank was moaning, as usual, about, we need to get sleep. So I said, Dad, you'll never believe this. I said, guess who I'm rooming with? He said, who? I said, Frank Stapleton. He said, put him on the phone. So my dad spent 45 minutes on the phone.
Whoa. Yeah.
I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Which Frank wasn't happy about. And then...
you had a kip while he talked to your dad. Brilliant.
Talked to my dad, so I fell asleep. Yeah. So Frank never got any sleep at all. So, so signing for Man United was a big influence there. But I just felt it was the right thing to do, Steve, you know?
Yeah. And no regrets on
that? Sometimes you have regrets on it, but, you know, maybe if I'd have gone to Man City or Chelsea, I would have got into the first team a lot quicker and probably played a lot more games. But in terms of the 6 years I was at Man United, the grounding, the experience, the managers I played under, you know, they held me in good stead.
Yeah. And by joining Manchester United, I don't know, can you see the picture on my screen at the moment? Can you see yourself there?
I can see, yes, Sir Alex.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a lovely picture. I know you're very proud of that picture, and also proud of the time, you know, you spent with Alex Ferguson. So, I mean, this is almost a pretty difficult question for you to answer, I suppose, because there's so much you could say. Alex Ferguson, what have we got to say about him as a manager and as a man?
Well, he was very scary when he came in, because when Ron Atkinson was a manager, I signed for Ron in March '86. And in November, Ferguson came in, and he changed everything. You know, it was a much more disciplined club. Gone from everyone had blazers and everyone had proper haircuts. You couldn't go out as much because he knew everybody. But he was a scary man.
Was he more old school than Ron Atkinson in that way then?
Oh yeah. Ron was very easy go, whereas Ferguson would push all the time. And he was really, really hard on. I mean, I was 18 then, and I
Yes.
spent the next 5 years with him. And he was a tough man, but you take it for granted, and you kind of think he's picking on you when you're there. But he was obviously doing it for the right reasons, and he's a hell of a man, to be honest. Hell of a man.
Do you like him though?
I went through stages of my career with him, annoyed with him because
you were on the fringe, I suppose, trying to break through, trying to get a game.
Yeah, but
it's such a great club, you know.
Oh, I mean, it was so difficult to break through. I mean, you had Bruce and Pallister, who were there for 10 years as centre halves. So Ferguson gave me my break at right back. So against Millwall, against Everton, and he brought me along as unused sub at Newcastle, Queens Park Rangers, and it's hard to put him into words because his longevity there speaks volumes from the amount of players he's gone through, and that picture behind you, that was when I met him at Cardiff City when Man United were playing Cardiff City in the Prem.
Yeah,
and I hadn't seen him in 15 years, and he asked me outright. He said, "How's Mick and Evelyn? Is your dad still taxiing?"
Yeah, well, that's a sign of a good man, I think.
Well, it is, but obviously it means he's done his homework on people, from the top, the likes of Steve Bruce and Robson. He knew everything about them, but to know everything about us on the fringes, and I mean everything. He knew. He had spies in pubs everywhere. He knew when you'd gone out. The amount of people he must have sorted out to say, right, these are all the regular pubs. You tell me which players have come in and what days. And we were caught out a few times. So, yes. Very clever man. Very clever man.
How was it when, I'm guessing Sir Alex must have been the man who maybe was the guy who must have sat down with you one day and said, "Derek, you're moving on," I suppose. How was that handled?
Well, initially he sent me to Oldham on loan for a month with Joe Royle, which was that was an experience as well with Oldham, and they were flying at the time, Oldham, and it was difficult to get in their team. So when I came back, he sent me to Swansea.
Oh, come on.
I know.
Oh, well, come on, Alex. Enough is enough, man. Come on.
But the funny thing about this is he sent me to Swansea, and Frank Burrows was the manager.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Jimmy Gillingham was there.
Yeah.
Andy Legg was there. Jason Ball.
Of course.
So I was there for 3 months, and basically Fergie wanted 250 grand, which was a lot of money in them days, and thankfully Swansea couldn't afford it. So they were obviously struggling for money then.
Yeah.
So I came back to United, spent another year. He offered me a 2-year contract, and then he said, "Look, Eddie May's been on the phone. He's seen you at Swansea. Can you go there for a month's loan?" So that's how that came about. So I just agreed to it and said, "Yeah, okay, I'll go."
Because you were by that stage familiar with, I suppose, that neck of the woods, South Wales, and.
Yeah, I mean, when I was at Swansea, I couldn't play in one of the games, and it was against Cardiff. I think it was in one of the cups, and the atmosphere. This was at the Vetch, and the atmosphere was unreal. I mean, totally unreal. And I'm talking about the Cardiff fans that were there, and there wasn't many. And I was stuck out in my mind then watching the game. I thought, wow. So it didn't really bother me going when I went back to Cardiff. A year, probably 2 years after. I didn't realise the intensity. Even though I'd watched that game, I didn't realise the intensity and the hatred that there was between the fans.
Yes. I mean, it's funny. It shouldn't be funny, but I mean, funny is not the right word. But I mean, I've watched kind of reserve games, and lower level matches, and it's always Cardiff Swansea. It's always halfway there, It's always a little bit of that there, Like you say, we feel like Andy Legg and Jason Bowen, those kind of players, particularly Andy Legg, I suppose, who went between those two different clubs, who were the absolute figure of hate for the Cardiff fans, and then became a real person of folklore for Cardiff City. Amazing.
Yeah,
really.
but I think the difference with someone like Leggy is that I think Leggy is still revered by the Swansea fans. There's that mixture of Cardiff fans love him, Swansea fans love him. the Swansea fans don't love me. I went back there in one of my first games for Cardiff,
Yeah.
and we were warming up across the pitch, and as you do, just run across. And when I got to I can't remember what that is. Is it a North Bank or something?
Yeah.
This bloke started giving me loads of grief. This bloke in the crowd, and I picked up the Cardiff badge, and kissed it, went across the other side, came back again to do some stretches, and this bloke had a Bowie knife, and he literally was holding it to his neck and pointing at me. I jogged over the far side, told Eddie first, told the steward told me to F off. So Eddie then spoke to one of the police there, and he wasn't helpful either. So I think we won the game as well. But I tell you what, taking throw-ins on the far side, I give away 3 or 4 throw-ins. Like there must have been foul throws because I kept hearing this abuse. So no, but the right decision was to sign for Cardiff.
So you mentioned Eddie May. Of course, I've got some pictures here of various bits and bobs to do with Cardiff City, and Eddie May. I always loved. I suppose something about Eddie May. Again, another quite a frightening character, I would imagine, quite intimidating character. But something about Eddie May, I just always loved and respected as a man, and he's probably one of my favourite Cardiff City kind of managers, really. And I know you had some great days under Eddie. How did he establish himself with you when you first signed for the club? I guess they have to say to you, look, this is the relationship we're going to have as a manager.
Well, the first day I got to Cardiff, I came there on the train, and I went to the ground, I met Eddie, and he took me into the middle of the pitch. And, it was obviously no one there. And the surface was excellent. And then I remember him saying to me, he said, I know you've been at Swansea, but listen, the Cardiff fans won't bother about that. He said, you sign for us. You love it here. I'm looking for somebody to play centre-back. He said, I know you can play in different positions. He said, but defender, obviously, is I'm looking at. He said, you're here for a month. Let's see how it goes. And I remember looking up at him because he was huge. I remember looking up and his chest sticking out.
Yeah.
And everything that he was saying to me, obviously I forget a lot of what he said to me that day, but everything that he said to me was positive. But then he just made me feel that I felt wanted for a start. So, it kicked on from there. I think I was only 2 weeks into my loan period, and I think I signed.
And who did you replace, Derek? Who did you come in for?
Big John, I think it was. Remember Big John, centre back?
Not Big John Williams, no.
John Williams, yeah.
Yeah.
But John was there. John was there when I was in there. But obviously, when I went in, I played centre half alongside Jason Perry.
Okay.
Lee Badley sometimes, but it was mostly Jason Perry at the start.
Can you see the picture behind me now? Hey, look at those two. Hang on, I move out the way. Look at these two handsome boys, people. Whoa!
Tell you what, you wouldn't want to go against them two, would you?
Both of you very young in those days.
Hairstyle.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a pretty good hairstyle. I say you still got a pretty good hairstyle.
I don't think I've had any facial hair there, have I? No.
What were you then? Early 20s?
I was probably 18, 19. Well, no, sorry. I would have been 23.
Yeah. And Derek would. Jason was.
He's probably about 21. Is he 21?
Okay,
he's older than me there.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So if I said the words to you over a pint in a pub, Jason Perry, what would you say to me?
Great lad, because he's Cardiff City through and through. I remember getting there and seeing him, and he was a skinny little boy, and
yeah.
He never had no weight on him, no muscle. He'd pump stuff in the gym, but it would make any difference. But what Jason got him through was his heart. He'd throw himself into every tackle. He's a leader, and I think he's one of those players that, Cardiff City fans appreciated, because he was a wisp of a boy, but he was a proper man. I tell you, he'd get stuck in and he'd frighten a few people.
I think he probably had a few tricks, didn't he, on the field to introduce himself for an afternoon of football?
Well, I think, put it this way, if you look at it, I was more cultured than Jason was.
Of course. He's always said that about you.
Jason loved the tackle. His second touch was a tackle sometimes.
Yeah.
So, he would try and rough people up a little bit, and any bad tackle I make was always late. It wasn't,
There was a joke going around at the time, I seem to remember, that Jason was never afraid to go in where it hurts someone else.
That's true, yeah. He was the same in training, Jason. Yeah. Same in training. He was wholehearted. He was always last pick for five-a-side, because obviously there's a little bit of quality in there. Do you know what I mean?
I imagine you must have been one of the first, Derek.
To be honest, I can't really remember. Our five-a-sides were great, because we used to have rest of the world versus the Welsh boys. So we had the likes of me, Paul Ramsey, who I could never understand when he was telling us what to do, Paul Miller, Nicky Richardson, Stanty if he was there, if he didn't have 3 days off. So, but it was great crack, great trade.
Great squad, wasn't it? Nice squad.
And you know what, Steve? I think if you look at today's squads, the 24, you look at the Cardiff City matchday programme, there's 24 names, maybe 25. We got through that season with about 15 players.
Yeah.
That's some doing,
I've got a couple of pictures here to show you. Let me go to this one first, maybe. Obviously, you're recognising a few characters in the background there. Yeah,
really, Pikey.
Anybody? Damon Sill.
Do you know what? That looks like a night out picture. That looks like one of the pictures from the bank or the Beverly or something. It's the same group of lads who go out.
I mean, you were a very close bunch. Maybe, as you said, the fact that you had such a small squad maybe kind of helped with that. Maybe that's a better one I got there for you. You're seeing can you name a few of those? Can you see them behind me?
Yeah, I mean, look at the keepers for a start.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 quality keepers there. I mean, you've got Mark Grew, really experienced. You've got Steve Williams, who went on to have a really good career in Ireland, and obviously you've got Gavin Ward. But then you look at the lads in there as well, like the likes of Blakey. Tony Bird came in, did his bit as well. And Tony Bird went on to have a good career as well. And Cohen Griffith, amazing, absolutely. A lot of my career, Cohen was in front of me. So it
was a good get-out clause for you, I guess. Wasn't it?
We used to call him the Spider.
Oh yeah.
He would literally he would double back and help me out. So sometimes there'd be 2. If I was playing right back, there'd be 2 of us on this one, and he'd wrap his legs around before the person got to me. There wasn't so much overlapping from me to help him, but when I did, I've created a couple of goals from that.
So I mean, you always look kind of gangly and awkward, Cohen, but a very effective player. And
I mean, the lads loved him. The lads loved him because Cohen never tried anything outrageous. Blakey could try something outrageous, and 7 times out of 10 had come off, and he'd look great. The other 3 times it wouldn't, but if he tried it again, it would. Whereas Cohen was up and down, keep possession, get to the byline, get his cross in. He could play centre forward as well, which he did at Shrewsbury away.
Yes.
So that squad. I mean, you like the likes of Lee Badley coming in as well.
There's a lovely lad, Lee Badley.
Oh, he's a great lad. I can still keep in touch with Lee. He's a great lad, and I think he went on to Exeter after that. And
he's a groundsman. He looks after a golf course now, doesn't he? Sorry, Derek.
I believe he does. Yeah. Well, there's a few people gone into that, like Lee Jarman and stuff.
Look at Nathan in that picture. I mean, look at Nathan there. He's just sitting there. He looks like he's king of the world, doesn't he? This is Nathan.
What I loved about Nathan was he believed in everything he did. Everything, whether it was singing, dancing, football, he thought he was the best at it.
Yes.
And pure confidence. And, I think, don't get me wrong, he's a very talented player. But if he didn't have that confidence, I don't think he would have gone on to do what he did in his career.
No, and to his credit, I mean, he is pretty good most things I've seen and heard him do. I mean, he's very successful now, of course, in terms of his kind of broadcasting stuff as well, you know. But
Yeah.
he always had that kind of. I think that self belief really, you can just see it on that picture. I remember some of the
I love
goals
him.
as well.
And
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing behind him.
No, you're looking a bit distracted there.
I'm either looking at the female photographer or I'm just growling, thinking, what's going on?
Yeah, what's Nathan up to now? Looks like, you know, and
Yeah.
you're standing right next to Stanty, of course. So Stantana, he's seems a bit of a kind of a mystery figure, really. Since then, I don't never hear anything about him. What happened to him? Do you know?
When Stanty came in, because he came in during the season, and he immediately hit it off with the boys. The boys had respected him and what he'd done in his previous career, you know, in the army.
Yeah. Yes.
But he wasn't. He'd never come out for drinks with us. He would. I mean, I think the club gave him something like $5,000 to relocate. You know, down. You know, obviously pay rent somewhere and put a down payment on a house or a flat. He bought £100 caravan down the captain's wife and lived there.
Yeah.
So 4,900 better off. Well done, Stanty.
He looks a bit detached there, Derek. He looks like he's in his own world, you know?
He was a lot of the time. I think, if I can remember rightly, on match days, he kind of went into a little bit of a zone. I think everybody does, but with Stanty, he just loved scoring goals.
Yeah.
He loved scoring goals and celebrating, and he scored some great goals for us as well. And you knew that, you know, if you pass the ball up to him, then it would stick. If it didn't stick, he'd blame you.
Right.
So, very clever man, Stanty, and he had a good career at the club, and he went on and played, you know, for a lot of. I think he brought a book out as well.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to read it, so.
Yeah.
But,
just this great working my way through. We will come away from this picture in a second, but there's so much value in this picture because Carl Dale just behind my shoulder there, sitting next to Surly. I mean, Carl Dale. I always had the impression with Carl he could have operated at a higher level. You know,
he could, Carl. I mean, Carl was so deceptive, and you know, if you look at the size of Carl, he could just spin off people. Good finisher, great lad. I think he had a couple of injuries as well towards the end of his career.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
stopped him. You know, but a nightmare to go out on the town with. Nightmare.
Yes. Yeah, I've experienced a little bit of that when I went to the Real Madrid evening, and I was on the same table as Carl, and we had an interesting chat.
Yeah, he's got little man syndrome. Carl has.
I wouldn't pick on Carl Dale. I must say, that's one person I would not pick on. You know,
he's tried in the past. He used to have this Spock grip that he'd grip you on the back of the neck.
Oh yeah.
And you'd have a little wobble.
Yes.
But anyway, you come near it, you just stay away, Carl. Move away. I mean, he's still trying it now. We had the reunion a few years back. I don't know, it was 6 years ago, was it? 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Say 7 years ago. And we all went into town, all the boys. And he tried it again. He tried gripping Nicky Richardson. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? You're a grown man. And Nicky wasn't happy. But just stay away from Carl Dale. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. He's an electrician now, isn't he? I think that's right.
He is, yeah. Yeah, he's doing really well himself, you know, really well.
I mean, looking at these pictures again now, you can see, I mean, there's Paul Miller there, of course, who scored a ridiculous goal once, and Pikey, again, a very underrated player, just behind him. In the picture before, I noticed that Jason was sitting next to Wiggy, and Jason had a belter of a black eye. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that was a rare occurrence, really.
No, I used to get some of the boys. I mean, many a time in training, Eddie used to set our training up to be so competitive, and the amount of black eyes, little scraps. There was loads of scraps, but they were all sorted out. They were all sorted out there and then. It was never festering. If it did go too far, Eddie'd have both of you in his office. And trust me, you don't want that. Unless he's being nice to you, you know, he would have taken the two of you on.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah,
Eddie was everything. Eddie was, you know.
Because Eddie was a centre half in his day as well, wasn't he?
Oh, and a very good one as well. I mean, but his presence was just, you know, he had that gift of scaring you, of giving you confidence, of just being there for you, and you know, whether it was family issues or personal issues or professional issues, he was always there for you. So Eddie was perfect because Eddie was so similar to Cardiff City fans. He got the fans. Oh,
yeah.
He got them. He was a man of the people, and he got what they wanted, what they felt, and what they expected from the players. And Eddie was you know, he was one of those people that Cardiff City fans, you know, could associate with.
Yeah, quite a jovial guy as well. I know, you know, he was frightening, but it was something kind of jovial and very likable and very normal and down to earth about him. I think you've captured it right there. That's probably why I felt so kind of connected to Eddie.
Well, I bet when you met him, you felt like he was your manager type thing. Do you know what I mean? That's people I've spoke to in the past who have met Eddie, you know, outside of football. He has this presence about him, you know, and very few managers have that. You mentioned, you know, Fergie had it, Frank Burrows had it, Eddie May had it, you know. Certain managers have that that thing of making you feel every emotion. And I think he captured that. I think that's why Cardiff City fans have always adhered to Eddie, you know.
Yeah, he's one of the favourites, you know. I think one time I went away to watch City. We were playing Northampton on a Boxing Day. It must have been Boxing Day. It was either Boxing Day or New Year's Day. We got absolutely battered. We were freezing cold. The match was nearly called off because of snow. I think we lost 4-0, something like that. And at halftime, I started to chant, Eddie, Eddie, Eddie May. And this was like years after, and all the City fans are straight in there, you know. You might as well chant for Eddie.
I to be honest, because I work down there now, and when you hear the fans sing that now, I mean, that's a great testament to Eddie, isn't it? You know?
It is. Yeah.
Great testament.
He had an emotional connection, I think, with the City fans,
because he lived so centrally. I mean, he lived on Cathedral Road. You know, his local was Beverley.
Yes.
You know, we'd go into town. He would make himself available to all and sundry. You know, he was approachable.
I've got to bring this picture up, Derek, as well. By the way, this is my favorite picture of you.
Is it? God, look at that.
Yeah.
Now
that's captured the moment, though. That's beautiful, wasn't it? Wasn't that a great day?
I mean, I love that picture. I mean, I showed that to my daughter Ava, and she just laughs at it. she did ask me, like, why? I mean, you look at Sarley's hair.
Yes.
Sarley's got like a
bit of an Elvis thing going on there, you know.
I don't know what that is, but that was obviously the Shrewsbury game at home.
Yeah. And
then in the build up to that during the week, all the boys had said, "Look, let's go mad. Let's all have a skinhead." So I went, yeah, I'll do it. I was the only one to do it. So we don't know what, whether they were playing a trick or anything. Yeah. So I got one on the Friday, and then that was it was just God.
Was that the day that Jason scored?
No, that was the day. I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah. That was the day that Shrewsbury. I was playing in midfield that day. I think Kevin Ratcliffe was playing centre back at the time.
Okay.
I played in midfield that day, and they had a couple of headers and a couple of shots from outside the box, and I hadn't scored that season. And I went down the wing, dropped the shoulder, crossed it for Blakey to score. And that's when the fans all came on. That's when we had the horses on the pitch. Eddie had to come out with the microphone. That was that day. That was the day we got promotion.
Yeah.
Obviously, the following week, we had to go to Scunthorpe to win to the championship.
So great, because I wanted to talk to you about that a bit as well. I mean, because my memories of that season, that picture, I love that picture. And I remember that day, apart from something, I know Jason scored a goal in a significant match. He always talks about it being a 35-yarder. I'm not quite sure how true that is. But there was also the Wrexham game, of course, when we went up there and did them, in which you played a key role in that, which was a great day out as well. And then, of course, coming on to the Scunthorpe thing, which Nathan still talks about to this day. You must have had exactly the same experience. I don't know whether with Nathan on the bus or on the team bus. He says you remember going down towards the ground on the bus and looking back and you see bus after bus after bus after bus. And City fans, when we took over Scunthorpe for the day, you know.
Oh, I mean, I remember actually going up on the bus that day because there was coaches going past us. and then they were slowing down so we could pass them. So it was so they could see us again and wave
Party
again.
spirit, yeah.
Oh, and the atmosphere we got, because I don't think Scunthorpe had anything going on that game. And when we went out to warm up, I remember looking behind both sets of goals, and our fans were behind both sets of goals. I've never seen it before.
Pretty well all around the ground, actually. Because
I know, but when you imagine like you got you've got a corner down that end, and you've got your supporters there, okay, and then you're defending a corner down this end, and you got your supporters there. It was just so bizarre. Yeah. And I remember, Cohen played, and I think Cohen scored 2 in that game, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And he played as a centre forward that day, and then it just shows you what Cohen was all about. But I remember towards the end of the game, like, people knew what was left, and everybody was like, the whole 22 players were kind of leaning towards where the tunnel was, waiting for the referee to blow the whistle, because you knew everybody was going to run on. So everyone was like leaning over and moving over there.
Yeah.
And it was just bedlam again. It was.
Well, you talked about it was my favorite ever, one of my favorite ever days out as a City fan. But I remember we said about the Shrewsbury game and the horses. If you remember at the Scunthorpe game, there were pantomime horses.
There was everything.
Yeah.
There was Elvis pantomime. There was sheiks. There was clowns. It was such a colourful day. And I think someone put it on one of the Facebook pages the other day. And I hadn't seen it for a while. And I ended up, I think it was like 35 minutes of the game. I remember watching the game.
I saw that, yeah.
It was, and watching the fans and watching that, it was just amazing times.
And I remember at the end, Rick Wright, I think I'm right, went into the away kind of chairman's area and said, "Thank you, more or less, thank you for lending us your ground," you know.
Did he? Oh, well, Rick was the character himself, wasn't he?
Yeah. Of course. Do you remember what's your biggest memory of Rick Wright?
I remember meeting him probably the first week I'd been down there, and straight away we nicknamed him Reg Holdsworth.
Because of course.
Like, you know, so. Yeah. But he always come down. He was bubbly. The times I met him, he was bubbly with the players. You know, he invested a lot of money in there, bringing players in. But then he wanted someone to take over from him, someone local, you know, someone with a. And that never happened. And I think because that never happened, he kind of. I wouldn't say he soured his relationship with the Cardiff City fans, but he wanted out. You know, he sold Blakey, he sold Stanley, he sold players, and it was, and there was a succession of people trying to take over from him, whether at board level or managers, and within, you know, if I look at my 4 years as a player at Cardiff City, the first 2 years were brilliant from everything, you know. The second 2 years, you had the likes of Phil Neal in there as manager. You had Terry Orth there as a spell. You know, you had the Kumars. You know,
Kenny Hibbett was in. Yeah.
Kenny Hibbett with Phil Neal. You had the Kumars. You had there was other people trying to take the club over.
Jim Cadman, I think, was involved.
Yeah, Jim Caldwell, was it?
Cadman.
No, Jim Cadman and Bill Caldwell.
Okay, yeah. There
was a succession of them, and Eddie was sacked, then he came back in. So it was a topsy-turvy type of thing. And I think Rick, you know, because he didn't have anyone, he wanted someone local with a bit of backing to come and take over from him, and that never happened.
No. I mean, at the time, I remember as a fan, obviously disappointed that he was going to do that. But to his credit, he never made it any secret, did he? You know, that was kind of the plan. No. That was going to happen, you know. So,
I mean, I think him selling Blakey, if my memory serves right, did he sell Blakey before we played Luton?
Can't remember. No, yes, he had. Yes, because he couldn't play in that game, could he?
Yeah. So
that's right. Yeah.
I mean,
in fact, he sat next to me for that game. I was with him in the old dugout at Ninian.
Yeah, I mean, so
not the dugout.
Who knows if Blakey had that day? You know, who knows what would have happened?
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
You know, I mean, I think that was kind of the start of Rick's ambitions around that time.
Well, of course, the preceding game, because I was, as you know, because I was at Red Dragon FM in those days. I remember you coming around the side entrance one time and cheekily getting yourself in the building once or twice. I also remember Nathan coming in when he came in, and he had those like shiny white shoes, like those kind of dancing spats he used to wear. He was chucking the football with them. It's still amazing with that, you know. But
I love them days. When
yeah, they were great days. I love those days too.
Used to let me play my own songs and stuff. I can't remember what they were.
Yeah, I used to play songs for you and stuff, didn't I? Yeah. I think I did a couple of requests for you on the radio and stuff. In fact, you were the mystery voice actually one time. Remember we used to do a mystery voice competition, and and I because I was sitting in for Kevin Thomas. You remember Kevin Thomas?
Yeah,
probably.
Kevin.
And he used to do this. It was called "Who's in the House," right? So I thought, oh, Derek Brazil, who's in the house? And I said, oh, you know, I had to give a little clue. You know, I said Irish footballer, Cardiff City. Derek Brazil. That's about 5 seconds. You know.
You know, I remember ringing up and ringing a shower radio from Red Dragon.
Yeah, okay.
I rang up one day in the morning. I rang out. I ended up winning a shower radio. That was really good days. Then, you know, proper prizes. Then, like
proper prizes in those days. Yeah, no expense.
I don't think I ever got it though.
Well, it's too late now. I'm afraid.
I'm still waiting on it.
Yeah. I actually remember another night where it was the Player of the Year award, and I think it was at the old electricity club in Pontcanna.
I remember.
I think it was you said, "Oh, can you catch the lift home?" I think, and I ended up with you, Nicky Richardson. I think Surly might have been in there. I think a few beers had been consumed, and I was dropping the lads off in town. And then I ended up, because I was with Stevie Seabright, who you might remember, and we came back to your place, and all of a sudden the Irish trickler came out, and it was all kicking off, you know.
You've got a good memory. I don't remember that at all.
I'm not surprised.
I don't remember that at all.
Going on.
Those nights were great, the Player of the Year awards, because they were, you know, you with the fans and everything, and it was fantastic. Really.
Different days, Derek. You know, it just doesn't happen like that now, does it? Really, in the same way, really, the connection with the fans and the players, it's slightly detached now, isn't it?
I don't think you could have the same as what we had, because, you know, as I said earlier, we go out as a group of lads, you know, into town, and Cardiff's not that big. If you think about 2 streets,
true, yeah.
Whereas the players go out now, if there's people with their phones, you know. And everything's on social media. I mean, can you imagine if there was social media around the time we were all out?
That wouldn't have been good.
Well, you know, thank God for that, to be honest.
Yeah. I was going to say with Nathan Blake, when Nathan scored that goal against Man City, I was in the box covering the game for Red Dragon. And when that goal went in, which is actually very similar to a Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank goal, actually, but it was the way it was just a supreme strike. I just knew as soon as that went in, I think that's goodbye, Nathan. At that time, there was the Players' Lounge. Was it John Charles Sweet? Maybe I might have been at that time. I can't remember. Yeah. And I went in there, and it's unusual for me because you know how tight I am. I put a pipe behind the bar for Nathan. I knew he was a goner. And then the next game, he was covering the match as a co-commentator with me on Red Dragon, and he couldn't be on the pitch. Yeah, and it was.
Well, I mean, I've seen pictures of that goal, still frame. And if you look in the background, you see the Bob Bank, and you see me leaning over, watching it like this. Yeah. I'd thrown the ball in from a throw-in, and obviously having the bet. And I think it was on the back of the Echo or something. Just as Nathan's curling it, you can see me in the background, like trying to watch like that through the gap. Fantastic goal. I mean, but he would do that in training all the time. He was. You know, he was a top lad and a great player, and you know, he went on to have a really good career as well, didn't he? You know. Yeah,
he did, and I think was it Mark Roos saved the penalty in that game? Was that right? I think
he did. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Came on a sub, did he? Is that right?
He didn't come on a sub, did he?
Wasn't. He played in the game. Oh, it was unusual that he played in the game, wasn't it? Who was? I think
because Gavin Ward might have been.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And Keith Curl took the penalty, didn't he?
Yes.
Missed it.
In front of the Man City fans on the Grange, I think.
That's right. Yeah, well, yeah, and but that day was that was a fantastic day. Because I remember the game itself that we just, you know, I can't remember lots about the game. I can remember, you know, the goal. I can remember the save, the penalty save, and I just remember the atmosphere. I think it was on a Sunday or something. The atmosphere was unreal, you know, and the celebrations then later on. And I had to celebrate. I was living actually in, opposite one of the lads that works for Red Dragon. Jason Harold.
Oh, yeah.
He lived across the road from me.
Okay. He's a nice guy, Jason, actually.
Yeah, I was living in, not Penswin, Penalan. And we had a party that night, and it was mental. It was music and art. The neighbours next door rang the police.
Yeah.
So the police turned up, knocked on the door, and asked me to turn the music down. I said, "Oh, look, we're just celebrating." And the copper said to me, he said, "I know, I was there today." It's brilliant. Just keep the noise down. Yeah. I said, "No problem." So I went back in. I said, "Right, we need to keep the sound down." And it was Nicky Richardson and his wife at the time. He went, "Yeah, no problem." Turned it up again. So the police come back again. He knocked on the door, the same copper, and he went, "Derek," he said, "please." He said, "You need to turn it down. The neighbours are going nuts." I said, "Okay." I tell you what, I said, "Can we have a half hour more of music?" And he went, "Yeah, you need to turn it down." So we ended up going next door to the neighbours and dragging them in. So they come in. So then we just turned it up then. It was brilliant. And so I remember the goal to save, the fans, and that celebration that night.
Yeah. Jason Harold, of course, originally from the Midlands, but he is a City fan these days.
Is he?
Yeah, he watches City.
Fan anyway.
Pardon?
I always thought he was a City fan anyway.
Yeah, he came across from Radio Wyvern years ago, so he's from the Midlands originally, but he is a good lad. When you moved on from City, just talk us briefly through what way you went next and what happened towards the end, the last couple of clubs.
Well, I was going to go back to Ireland. I went back for 10 days with Shelburne. I had a phone call from Newport then, and I had a couple of offers in China, Scotland, but Newport, you know, I was 27, and I'd had my season at Cardiff that season. I had a lot of injuries, so I just thought maybe at the age of 27, what do I do? And they put a proposal together for me to play and to do the coaching in the community for them. So I took my C license, B license. So I was captain there, and I was there with, you know, Graham Rogers, Lyndon Jones.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know, some great lads there. And so I did that, and I did the coaching football in the community, and that was in 1997.
Okay.
So there, I did that was for 2 years. Went to football-wise, I went into Cardiff with George Wood. We played in Europe, won the Welsh Cup, played in Europe.
Yeah.
And then
nice guy, George, by all accounts.
I
met him.
Great fella.
I took a penalty once against him at Ninian Park in Jason Perry's testimonial. One of the worst penalties that has ever been seen, apparently.
Well, George was what your penalty was.
Yeah, my penalty was one of the worst I've ever seen. I did have a pair of shoes on, though. I didn't have boots on. It's my excuse.
Well, anyway, that's an excuse. Plus, it's very daunting at Ninian. Was it Ninian Park?
Yeah, it was Ninian. It was quite well attended as well. You must have been there for that testimonial with Jason, I guess.
Was, yeah. He didn't ask you to play in it, funny enough.
No, he didn't. But Keith Cooper was the ref, wasn't he, if I remember?
Yeah, Keith.
Yeah. No. I think he took a penalty as well, actually, in that game. He scored it.
Did he score?
Yeah.
I think that's worse for you, isn't it?
Pardon?
That's probably worse for you.
It's way worse. It's way worse. Worse than you can imagine.
It's funny, like, I left Newport then in '99 as a player to go to Haverfordwest, while also took over at Cardiff City in the football and community with Derek Clydesdale. So I went back in '99, 2 years later, to work in their community scheme, and I was there for 4 or 5 years. I played at Haverfordwest for 2 or 3 years as a player. Then kind of stopped playing. Then I started playing for my local pub team, Caffili, the Court Rawlin FC. Playing Sundays. I think I scored about 30 goals that season up front. So it all come round. And then a couple of management stints. I was at Haverfordwest for 3 or 4 years as a manager. Fantastic club. Obviously Bluebirds as well.
Yeah.
And it's funny, when I was manager there, I signed some players. I had Lee Jarman playing for me. I had Tom
What a
Ramsey.
good player Lee Jarman was.
Oh, great
what
player.
a footballer for a centre
Brilliant.
defender.
So laid back, Lee. I mean,
should have done a lot better, shouldn't he? Really, I mean,
he should have done, but
yeah.
He was just so laid back. That probably held him back a bit. Damon Sale came and played for me as well. Tony Bird was obviously there and played a couple of times. And then I left there, had a little baby. And then I had a bit of a stint at Goitra then, but that wasn't for me. And then the job came up at Cardiff City as a matchday ambassador with Gary Bell, Roger Gibbons, and Damon Sale.
Not a bad bunch, really.
Not a bad bunch. They're a lot older though. When
yeah,
you
of
say
course, yeah.
like Sale, he must be having Botox. He must be in those crypto chambers. Have you seen him recently?
I've seen him. Yeah. He didn't look too bad.
He has not aged, does he?
No, he looks all right. Yeah. Yeah.
Ridiculous. Every time I see him, he's like a Lego man. Just doesn't age at all. It's just so yeah. I work down there now, and obviously with everything going on, that's stopped. But I've been there, maybe 7-8 years now.
I'm gonna have to show you this picture now.
I know.
Can you see? Hang on. Oh,
it looks like you and my son there.
Oh, it's I can't get the picture in properly. Right, I'll come out to the picture. But what I had there was a picture with you and Ava.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned about having a child, and you'd be pretty fond of Ava, aren't you, Derek?
Oh, she was 10 last Sunday. It's so hard at the moment, but I know everybody's going through.
Yeah, of course, you can't see
situations like this, and you know, I've had so much bad news recently from people who've lost friends, family, and people who can't see their parents, like, you know. But Ava's she understands. I think she's.
Yeah. Do you speak on the phone a lot, I guess, do you?
Yeah, well, she's typical now. She's a 10-year-old, and you try and FaceTime her, and then she'll get back to me like 4 hours later. Go, did you ring? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not sporty at all. She's more of a bookworm. She's more Harry Potter, and I try to get her into sport, but she's a clever little girl. She's
also a very, very, very pretty young lady too. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, I'd like to say she takes after me, but she probably takes after her mother. But yeah, so
she's the apple of your eye, though, isn't she?
Well, yes, she is, but you know, someone not far from me.
Oh, of course, yeah, okay. There are other, okay, yes.
There are other people in the room, Steve.
Yeah, of course. I was going to say about on a kind of more of a serious note, really. I don't know. Did you have much to do with Jimmy Goodfellow in your time at City, or was that before your time?
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy was obviously Jimmy was the physio when I was there. So towards the end of my career at Cardiff City, I got to see him quite a lot. But Jimmy was always. I mean, you had Jimmy, Harry Parsons, Eddie.
Yeah, Roger. Harry the Bucket.
Oh, great. That was a great staff because Gibbo, Eddie, Harry and Jimmy were all different people. So they would bounce off each other. Jim was like, you know, the most time you'd see Jim would be obviously in the physio, whether you're doing your rehab. And, you know, he'd tell you days about when he played at Workington, Rotherham, like that. And he was great, Jim, because he was always positive. You know what I mean? And he knew when you were a bit down because of an injury. But he's, you know, I remember the first time he got a machine. It was one of the ultrasound where you put the gel on your leg.
Yeah. And
you put it in. The club had only got it. Now, this is like before all this. And he was doing it on there and he put it up too high. I nearly jumped the roof. I said, Jim, do you know what you're doing? He said, well, I haven't looked at the instructions yet. I said, you mean instructions? He said, I haven't looked at them yet. Give us a look. I said, give us a look here. I said, Jim, he's put it on 5. He had it on 10.
Oh, dear.
He said, I'm getting used to all this new fancy stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's quite well, I would imagine, a very traditional, kind of stuck in his ways kind of.
Oh, he could be very cutting when he needed to be.
Yeah.
Very cutting. But then, that's football. I mean, football is, you know, people call it banter and all that, but particularly young players as well. I I mean, it was worse in my day. I was watching the class of '92, about Beckham and Giggs and Scholes and all them, and about all the initiation tests that went on, and it was make or break in them days for a kid. I mean, now they're obviously, you've got 17-year-olds, you know, who are, they're made for like 3 or 4 years in terms of contracts, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's no worry for them.
No. And the money these days is just crazy, isn't it? Did you spend, I can't remember, did you spend time with Billy Eyre?
No, I was there as a community officer.
Okay. Because Billy was one. I was really like Billy as well, because he was like, he'd wander around. He'd be like -10. He'd have a pair of shorts on, you know, hard as nails, proper old school character, and and of course Frankie Burrows.
Frank as well.
Do you have any thoughts on Frankie?
Well, obviously he was my manager at Swansea when I was there for 3 months.
Yeah. So
when I was back there as a community officer, he was the manager, and I was kind of dreading it, because I thought, do you know what I mean? Because but he was pretty good with me, Frankie. He just said, look, he said, we couldn't afford to pay it.
Yeah.
They probably couldn't afford to pay it now, he said. That was in 1999. So he was pretty good, Frankie. He'd always keep an eye out for me and stuff. And
yeah, I've got a couple of Frankie stories, because I was working for Club Call then. I'll just tell one of them, but one of them's got a lot of bad language, so we won't go there. I know that surprised you with Frankie Burrows. But of course, in those days, his office was, you know what the office was like in those days, with a little fridge in the corner, the Clark's pies and the cans of cider and whatever. And I met Frankie one day, and it was his birthday, yeah. And I said, "Oh well, Frankie, happy birthday." He said, "Thank you very much, son. What you doing in the players' tunnel? Get on your way."
Now, was that a accent, or was that Frank Burrows?
I'm not sure. I can't do a Scottish accent. So I'll just do that one instead. You know,
it sounds like Sean Connery then.
Yeah, well, I'll keep that as my Sean Connery. We of course we can't. I have to mention Peter Whittingham.
Yeah.
I mean, how incredibly sad is that? I just couldn't get my head around that. You know.
Yeah, it's. I mean, when I heard the news, it was. It's stuff like that is shocking, because he's such a young man.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, young man with a young family.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, such a freak accident to happen. Obviously, we don't know the full story of what happened, so it wouldn't
Probably
be
never
right.
will.
Well, it wouldn't be right to actually.
No.
But it's been a tough year in terms of for Cardiff City, with with Salah. Then you've got Peter Whittingham, Jimmy Goodfellow. You know, it's such a sad time in terms of ex-players or ex-staff, and really, I mean, it's. But I think, you know, when this coronavirus thing took over, it could have swamped what happened to Peter Whittington. You know, I think it's a crazy situation. This, I mean, I don't know how you're getting through all of this. I'm stuck at home. I mean, what have you been doing?
Well, I mean, I'm working from home. You know, I mean, I'm still sort of doing my daytime gig, you know, the university thing, but I'm also doing lots of stuff like this, which is a real pleasure, by the way. It's great to chat to you. But health-wise, I'm okay. My wife works for the NHS, so she's out there every day, so that isn't ideal. But family-wise, we're okay. But I suppose everyone's going on their own journey through this, aren't they? Like you with Ava, you know, it's just a weird time.
Yeah, I mean, my partner Rona, she took a job in Tesco's up the way, purely to help out, and obviously to work.
Yeah.
With my situation, I've been going around trying to see if people need shopping and stuff. Because I work in schools, predominantly, schools are closed. So, and because I'm zero contract hours, basically, I literally can't go in and do anything. So I'm stuck at home watching, you know, catching up. I make phone calls to people I haven't spoke to in a while. I'm trying to still get involved with the homeless as well, which I've done, you know, which I've been doing. But it's a lot more difficult now to go out on the streets of Cardiff to deliver stuff, you know, because, you know, obviously with the restrictions and stuff like that, you know. So it's a scary time. isn't it, to be honest? And
yeah, let's hope it's over soon.
You know, I think people who, you know, obviously your wife in the NHS and all the key workers, they do an unbelievable job. And, you know, and it's particularly, you look at the NHS, and you know, I don't want to be controversial here, but there's been so much money raised from charities, from Captain Tom Moore to the NHS, you know, probably in the region of what, 100 million already? Do you reckon?
Something crazy, a lot of money, yeah.
You know, I'd love to know what the government are actually going to do with that. Me personally, I'd say, right, okay, when this is over, every NHS worker, double your money.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
That'd be nice for you, yeah, obviously.
No, I don't mean it that way at all. I mean, absolutely. That would be the right thing to do.
Because I don't know where all this charity money, 100 million plus, is going to go.
I don't know where it's going to go either. You'd like to think it would either go to maybe some sort of mental health charity for NHS workers, you know, having to deal with so much stress and so much fear every day. That would be nice. You know, who knows?
I mean, obviously I don't know what's happened with your wife, but I know a couple of people who work in hospitals in Landock, and it's just become the norm to them now. And that's not, it's not right, is it? But I think, you know, they need to be looked after better, because before all this happened, Steve, the NHS workers weren't looked after in any way.
No.
You know? But hopefully that the government will see right. And I need to get out, because I'm an outdoor person, and I've watched so much Netflix and so much stuff on telly.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff I wouldn't even watch. I'm watching, Come Down With Me, 4 in the bed. People's like.
I mean, that's not good. That's not good to get in. You know,
cookery programs.
Yeah. So helping you with the cooking.
Well, I burnt a pizza, didn't I?
Oh, well done.
I did put it on Facebook. It was horrendous. I only put it in for 12 minutes, but after 6 minutes, it was burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, that's not good.
But I did make me ma's stew yesterday. Irish stew.
Oh, well done. Well done.
I spoke to her on the phone, and she gave me all the details about it all. So I did it while I was on the phone, and I gave it to Rona, my partner, and she said, I said, what would you rate me ma's stew? And she said 10 out of 10.
Way.
But she only gave 6 out of 10 for mine.
Is it as good as a kavama, you know, like the old Bulgarian stew, you know?
It's a lot. It's not as thick. It's like more soupier type thing and all that. But I love I love Bulgaria, don't you?
Yes. And
you love when I go there, don't you?
I do, yeah. But who knows? Not looking very likely this year, sadly.
I don't think so. That's where I'm going to retire. I never told you that, did I?
No.
Yeah, I'm myself and Rona. Once my daughter's 18, once Ava's 18, I'm going to retire in Bulgaria.
Well, I've got loads of people who obviously who live there. I can maybe give you some advice on that if you want it. But long way down the line, Derek. So
that's a lot.
Yeah.
8 years, isn't it?
Yeah. What? So I'm going to ask you a couple of quick ones now. Firstly, let me ask you this one first on that subject. What, you know, I know you're doing a range of different things at the moment. Obviously, what's going on at the moment is preventing that from happening. Have you got any existing ambitions, things you still want to do?
Do you know what? I've done a lot of things in my career. And if you'd have asked me this question 2 months ago, I probably would have gave you the answer that you were looking for. But since this whole thing has happened, you know, my ambitions have kind of changed. My ambitions are kind of more along the lines of staying healthy, my family healthy, see my family more, see my friends more, you know, and just make sure everything is good for me, my family, and everything. In terms of ambitions, you know, professionally, I've done the management stint. I don't know whether I could do that again. And obviously, I've done the playing stint. I still play for Man United Legends now and again.
Best player on the pitch, apparently, I've heard.
Well, I don't know about that. So professionally, I don't know. I would like to actually, believe it or not, I would like to get into radio.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the sports side of radio, it's like commentary, football stuff. Yeah, I mean,
Doesn't go back to me. Like I've rang him a few times over.
Yeah.
Never got back to me.
Well, I I put a good word in for you.
You always have.
And my good word is useless. Everyone ignores it.
But I would actually like to get into into the media professionally. I would like to get into the media a lot more.
Well,
but the problem you've got sometimes is that there's so many ex-Welsh players now who do it.
Yeah. There aren't any with your accent though,
Well, I don't know. I have been told my accent is a little bit Welsh lilty.
Possibly. I can't say I've noticed, but okay.
No, it is. It's very. I mean, I've been over here. God, I've been in Wales 24 years. No,
yeah.
20. No, hang on. No, it's more than that. 28 years.
Yes, it is. Because 82, 83 was the one we were talking about. Yeah.
82, 83. I wasn't playing. I would have been 13 then.
Oh, 92. What was the season going? 92.
92, 93.
Yeah, sorry, 92, 93.
But yeah, the media would appeal to me.
Long time ago.
It would appeal to me.
I honestly, genuinely think you'd be great for it, And just to say a couple of things without embarrassing you, which I mean genuinely, I kind of really like your attitude to life, and of course your partner Rona and others, and the fact you do so much to give something back, which is lovely. I mean, even Christmas time, you're out there, you're out there doing stuff, and also in terms of your ability as a kind of pundit and a football man. Whenever you've been on the phone in the Cardiff City phone, and you've always been a treat. There's no doubt in my mind that you can clearly do that. It's just getting an opening, I suppose.
It is. I mean, I just need to mention as well that when we went out Christmas Day, obviously, I've got to say a big thank you, obviously, to Rona, her daughter Harriet, her boyfriend Reese, Eddie Roper, Kieran Jones, and Eddie's mate as well. They came out with us on that day, and they spent we spent 4, 5, 6 hours. I mean, they give up their Christmas Day as well. I mean, and the hundreds of people who gave shoe boxes and still do. I've still got some stuff here that I've been given that is difficult to get out. But when the restrictions are eased off a bit, then hopefully we can go out. I know the Hugard are doing great work as well.
Yes.
For the homeless at the moment. So, but yeah, listen, I enjoy doing it, and I like, there for the grace of God go we all sometimes, Steve, isn't it? Absolutely, yeah.
On a lighter note, I'd like to end the interview by asking you about something which I think you're quite keen on. I'd like to have a little insight into Derek Brazil's taste in music.
Okay.
So, tell me a little bit about what are your go-to options musically. I know you've heard to do an unbelievable rendition of Westlife songs, but maybe there's more to it than that, and I'd be quite interested.
Well, I've always been a big Elvis fan. Always big Elvis fan. But I've kind of, my music tastes are quite varied in terms of I like the people like Eminem. I do like all that type of music. But then I like Michael Bublé. I like Simply Red. I love Simply Red. I've been to see them a few times in concert. So there's not one thing I'm more of a song person, to be honest.
Okay, so let's talk about that now. So if you were doing a karaoke night tonight, what song would you be doing?
It wouldn't just be one.
Okay.
I'd be back up 2 or 3 times, to be honest. I'll have to base on the last time I did it. I did 3 Little Birds by Bob Marley. That went down well. I did Michael Bublé, which was which song was it? I can't remember. One of them. And the other one would be probably either an Elvis song or get this one. This will crack you up. The Arrested Development.
Really? Whoa! Or Mr. Wendell or something like that.
No, the other
one. Tennessee.
Everyday People.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course, yeah.
That's a difficult one to do.
Yeah. I don't know what you want to give us a few. Do you want, could you give us a few bars now? I don't know. Could you give us a flavour of it?
Listen, I've only had a cup of tea. I haven't even had a. It's not Magnus o'clock yet.
Okay.
I can't. And to be honest, Rona reckons I'm a better backing singer.
Really? I think she might be being diplomatic there, Derek.
No, I'm actually a very good. She sings a very good fever, and I do it. I do just the boom, 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 boom.
Oh yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. See?
Nice, yeah.
It's done that in Spain a few times. It's revered all over the Balearics.
I'd imagine your duet in the L bar in Bulgaria would be a thing of beauty.
I remember it was his birthday the other day, wasn't it?
Neil.
Yeah, Neil, because he's working in the Morris bar now.
Yes, he travels all around Bulgaria. He speaks fluent Bulgarian, of course.
Does he? No,
yeah.
He doesn't.
He does. Yeah, he teaches Bulgarian. He works as a translator. Yeah,
he's still a Portsmouth fan.
He's still a Portsmouth fan. You can't have everything. But
no, great place, and you've got a lovely place over there, I might say.
Well, I'm just I'm really glad that you enjoy going there. Who knows when we'll be able to go there next.
It's great. It's brilliant, and we were planning obviously to go out there in the summer and take Ava.
Yeah. I don't know what's. I'd love Ava. I'd love you to get Ava. She'd love that pool, wouldn't she?
She was all set to come, but
yeah,
obviously we don't know what's happening. We don't know.
No. Bigger things to worry about at the moment, aren't they? Really,
Oh yeah. I mean, as long as everybody's safe and and if people adhere to the actual rules,
yes,
then we'll be quicker out of this. But you see some Ellens who just don't, and you just think,
yeah,
a life, man. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Two quick ones to end with. One of them is going back to that squad. Who had the worst taste in music when you were at Cardiff City?
Good question.
It's a hard one. There's so many candidates, I'd imagine.
Worst taste in music. The thing is, some players, the ones who are always in, if we had a stereo in there, it'd be Sarley had sorted out, or Blakey, or Nicky Richardson.
Yeah.
The only way I can tell you is when we've had a night out that someone would get up to dance to a certain song, then you'd know that person would have a terrible taste in music. And that was Chris Pike.
Oh yeah, because yes.
He would get up and dance.
Yeah.
We'll probably be in somewhere like, I don't know, say the Bank or something like that. I don't know, on St Mary Street. And we'd be all chatting at the bar and all that. So we'd get up and dance stuff, chat at the bar, and then a certain song would come on. It might be ABBA, or it might be, I don't know, it might be Howard Jones or something.
Mm.
And he'd get up and dance to it on his own. And I think, you weirdo. So I'd have to say him, Chris Pike.
Okay. And I had one more question for you, and this is it. And thank you very much for your time. It's a long old interview, but it's been really lovely to talk to you, and good to see you looking well.
And I haven't sworn once either.
No, you've done well. You've done well. You'll
Really?
save that for Rona for later, I'm sure. It's a long time ago now. I mean, I've known you quite a long time, and I had a special connection with that squad, really, because of what I was doing at the time. And like I say, things were different in those days. But looking back on those days now, could you sort of have a comment or comments maybe for the Cardiff City fans about your time at Cardiff City Football Club? I wonder what you'd say to the fans.
Okay, I feel I was lucky, and I say lucky. I'd say I had the pleasure of being part of that era of, say, 92 to 95, 94. Those 2 years, when either side of that 93 team, I had the pleasure of playing with great players, playing in front of amazing fans, home and away. And what sticks with me now is how genuine nowadays, if I go to the shop, or if I, day to day, if I'm going somewhere, before all this, if I go out, the amount of people that come up to you and still remember you and talk about them days, and some of them are younger and probably they were only like about 12, 13, 14 then. And then you get the older generation who are so warm, you know, towards you, that they were a part of it and you were a part of it. And I always look back at that 92, 93 season as it wasn't just us, say 15, 16 players and the management staff that won that season. It was, you know, the 28,000 fans. We were all one big team, and it was a roller coaster ride, and it's something that we never wanted to get off. But then the way people are still about it today, and the amount of people you meet, they talk about it, and it brings back happy memories. And I've only got happy memories about that. And it was, you know, honoured to be part of the team and the fans in them days.
That's lovely, Derek. I mean, looking back again, I think we went up again in 82, 83. That's why I confused the two. But not those times, as I say, my connection with the club and sitting in the PA box and deal Phil Suarez and people like that. And, you know, I've got really fond memories of that time. And it's nice to hear from you as a player that you also was special for you. Derek, I wish you well for at the current time, and maybe come through this quickly and safely. And you know, best health to you and your family. And thanks very much for chatting to me. And it's been a real pleasure.
No, pleasure's all mine, mate. And, you know, listen, thank you for inviting me on.
It's been great.
And to have a chat about various different things. And hopefully I'll see you for a pint soon.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be
I've
nice.
got to go do my fitness workout now.
I think it's your around, Derek, but there we go.
Probably is. That's fine again.
Thanks a lot, man.
Cheers, pal.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Derek. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.